Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now here in my hands, this is the TKELL Knives Accomplice. This is a collaboration between myself, Eric Outer Limitless Designs, and Tim Kell of TKELL Knives. Now at this point, this is the first production sample. I am basically going through this in detail today. Now also here in my hands, this is the original prototype. Now there are no real major fundamental differences, with the exception being the prototype is what I tested and then the final production run ready to go. So at this point on this video, the first production run is ready to go. So this is sort of an announcement to say, if you're interested in what you see here today, keep an eye out on Tim Kell's website. So TKELL Knives, take a look at the description box below for more of the details if you're interested in this. The first production run is going to be limited. They're going to be a numbered series, and these will be available very, very soon. And so again, we're going to go through all the details. I'm going to show you the field use. I'm going to go through the package in detail so you can see it close up. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to a couple of people who did make this possible. First and foremost, Tim from TKELL Knives for doing all this awesome work, hard work. His knives are fantastic. I've covered TKELL Knives on my channel in the past, so TKELL Knives. And second, my subscriber Flash Force. If it wasn't for his knowledge of TKELL in the first place, I may never have come to this point. So again, Flash Force, thank you very much for just the advice and for really saying, hey, you got to check out TKELL Knives, because that put this entire thing into motion. And at this point, you can see I've had this box of a couple of them here, just sort of priority express mailed to me. And I'm going to bust these out of the package. I'm going to take a look at what we have here. So let's flip the camera around. And so again, Tim Kell from TKELL Knives, just fantastic blades. Again, I've looked at a number of his models on my channel at this point. Never, ever does he disappoint. His fit and finish, his quality, his attention to detail is just phenomenal. And right off the get-go, you can see just these really cool packages, the way this comes. So again, here are the, and I'm going to call them 90% production samples. There's a couple of tweaks that I think you're going to see, not really on the knife, but more on the sheaths. The sheaths, Tim's telling me, just have a little bit of refinement to go, but we are darn close. But the knives here are the actual production samples. So there's going to be just some subtle differences between the actual production models and what we had here on the original prototype. And so here, as we get these busted out of the package, all right, so we're gonna have two different variants, each of these with the same sheath, but as you can see here, set up just a little bit different actually, which is pretty cool. And a little bit of a difference on the handle scales. Now, as we take a look at these here, Tim Kell is really at this point refining his sheath design. So you can see here just this real tight little package. The idea being the absolute minimum material necessary for the sheath, with the ability to leverage a number of different lashing points, a number of different mounting points, and very versatile. And that's exactly what we see here. So the first Accomplice here, boom, again, nice. This here with the grenade grip finish, so you can see that grenade pattern finish. And right away, you'll notice the blade looking seemingly about the same, 80 CRV2 with the Tier 1 finish. But you can see the logo now on the original swapped over here, so you can see now it's on the opposite side, the Tim Kell logo. That's awesome. And I had that on the opposite side here, so a little bit of a difference, but also reducing down to 2 bolts. Now this is a very efficient design. It does not need more than 2 bolts for a knife of this size. And you can see these have the pass-through lanyard holes, which is awesome. So again, the bolts being just a nice pass-through design. And I do like how clean this looks with just the 2 bolt design. So that's nice. So again, this here with the grenade grips, and this one here, same thing, only with the smooth factory grips. And that's the awesome thing about TKELL knives, offering two different styles. So if you want that more bushcraft style with the smoother handles, you have that. Or if you want just a little more of a tactical look or a little more tactile feel, you have the grenade grip. Now, TKELL always very specific in the pattern. So this pattern is very specific for where you're going to be gripping, your finger placement, and how you're going to index and really interface with the knife. And that's all part of the plan. Again, as I mentioned, Tim does pay extreme close detail to all these little things. So he's always looking at all these fine little details, which adds up to the total presentation. And so now that I have a couple of the production samples in my hands, let's bust out a little bit of field testing. Now, I did actually already put this prototype to some significant use. Let's break it out and you can see what this is capable of doing. And so the TKELL Accomplice, an outer limitless design manufactured by Tim Kell, TKELL Knives. Absolutely fantastic work coming from Tim Kell. Now, imagine being a designer, looking at a knife lineup and saying, well, now I need to design to somebody else's lineup. The first thing is I wanted the Accomplice to look like it fit with Tim Kell knives. I didn't want it to be completely different. It had to be a Tim Kell knife, which means it's combat style. It's kind of got that low profile. You can conceal it. You can have it really at your ready at all times. And that's the point of the Accomplice. The Accomplice is the knife you're supposed to get caught with while you're out on an adventure or living your everyday carry life. Combining the detail and quality of TKELL manufacturing with the outdoor experience of myself, Eric Outer, the Accomplice absolutely strikes the balance between a robust general purpose camp companion and a low profile concealable EDC fixed blade. Here you can see I am getting this into some good quality field use. Now, keeping in mind the fact that this is some footage of me testing my prototype to make sure it would perform as I needed it to going into the production run, and everything about it working phenomenally well. The Accomplice knife combined with a minimalistic kydex carry sheath is just a perfect option for the next wilderness excursion or your everyday urban needs. But here today, getting it into fire prep. Now, I do need to say, each and every design I design has to be able to perform fire prep with ease. All of my designs are essentially in some way, shape, or form intended on being a form of a survival knife, the ability to survive with your knife. And I don't care if you're surviving in the urban or EDC genre, or if you're surviving in the wilderness, it needs to perform, and I always am prepping a fire. I have a ton of fires. I love making fires. I really think that for me, and in my opinion, the tools to make a fire are critical, and all of my tools and designs need to aid in that. So here the Accomplice doing a wonderful job. So as I plane down the wood, the handle, nice and comfortable, indexing very well, but it's the blade, the geometry, and the work that goes into these TKELL knives that absolutely makes it sing and perform for these tasks. The Accomplice is going to be a nice overall size. It has a 6.7 ounce overall weight, with the sheath coming in at 8.9 ounces. 0.166 inches thick, or in other words, 4.2 millimeters of ADCRV2. This has Tim Kell's proprietary Tier 1 coating, absolutely amazing, just looking phenomenal. And it has a very nice low friction coating that is self-lubricating and really does not wear much at all, or if at all. I haven't really seen it yet, and is excellent for overall corrosion resistance. So it really does make this an awesome option for the outdoor use. The handle length around 4.1 inches. You can see I do have a large size hand, and this fills out my hand nicely. Now, keep in mind the fact that Tim Kell knives are all going to be a little bit slab-sided. That's kind of his low-profile take on a knife handle. It needs to be low profile, and they are fairly thin. It's not going to roll around. It's not going to slide. The slab-sided handles are definitely going to fit nice and flush. The overall handle thickness, 0.55 inches, so fairly thin all the way around. Now, the edge geometry is literally perfect on this. I typically like, I guess I would say, probably around a 17-degree edge. The TKELL Accomplice here is 20 degrees exactly. So it's going to strike the balance between a nice slicey edge, but one that's going to be robust enough that it can handle some punishment. Now, I have done batoning with the Accomplice. I didn't show it in this footage. I kind of wish I had some footage to show you, but at 0.166, that's a little bit thicker than a 5/32. So having that mid-height saber grind, it's kind of like a 2/3 height saber grind. The overall slicey capability, yet the robust nature and your ability to do some batoning, no problem. But of course, keep in mind the fact that you do have a little bit of a limitation just because of the overall blade length. The overall cutting edge is roughly 3 5/8 inches. You do end up with a sharpening choil and then a nice pronounced guard at the backside of the ricasso area. So this does have the excellent capability to do the carving tasks. It also gives you a nice and secure purchase on the knife if you're doing stabbing tasks. Again, keep in mind the fact that I said I need the Accomplice to look and act and feel like a TKELL knife. Yes, it's an Outer Limitless design, but I designed it to look and feel exactly like a TKELL knife. It had to fit the lineup perfectly. It had to integrate into the lineup, so it has all the same desirable features that you see with the rest of the TKELL line. But working on some fat wood here, fat wood can be a little bit funny. Sometimes it's stubborn, other times knives do a wonderful job, and the Accomplice doing a fantastic job with processing the fat wood. The spine is not incredibly sharp, but it is squared off enough to do all of the scraping tasks. I like that. It's a perfect balance between something that's not going to completely tear up your thumb if you put your thumb over the top of the spine for the carving tasks, yet at the same time, you can use the alternate grips and do a wonderful job getting some shavings. And the ability to rip on the ferro rod, no problem. Quick little spark, making absolute quick work of this, getting my fire started, and now I'm at the point where I can start to do my cooking. Now, for me, most of my knives, really, again, not just for the fire prep, but my ability to cook with them. I love using my survival wilderness blades to cook. That's another huge part of what I do. That's another huge part of what I believe in. So again, the TKELL Accomplice can't only be good for the fire prep tasks, but I need to be able to do some food prep. So here, as I get into it, you can see leveraging the TKELL Accomplice for some basic food prep tasks. And again, you get a little sense of some of the utility-driven purpose, things like opening, packaging, and all the little things that you're going to do on a daily basis. You also need to be able to do that easily with something that you're getting caught with on a day-to-day basis, like the Accomplice. So having the unsharpened swedge, absolutely awesome to help pierce and to help open things like packaging. You could cut zip ties or rope or cordage very easily. But here you can see I'm also leveraging that tip just to kind of dig around, get at, my steak here and flip it around as I need to. Something that's a clip point design with an unsharpened swedge does a magnificent job for that need, and I love my food prep. I love managing my food around the fire with my knives and the Accomplice. Again, absolutely having the ability to do that. And so as we're out having some family fun and enjoying just a beautiful afternoon, I do have to say I'm very happy and very proud of the TKELL Accomplice. It's awesome to team up with somebody who just has a vision for how things are supposed to be. Somebody who has a vision for a little bit of, I guess, ingenuity, the ability to actually create something a little bit different from everybody else. And when you look at the fine details on a TKELL knife, Tim is a thinker. He's thinking through all of the details. He's thinking about ways to make things multi-use, multi-role, multi-purpose. He's looking at ways to enhance the overall design from a basic, simple aesthetic all the way through the full function, the fit in the hands, the concealability, and the overall quality of the blade, the corrosion resistance, and all the little details that go into a TKELL knife. When you really look at the total package, you're going to start to understand why he's differentiating himself from the crowd. So again, a great big thanks to Tim Kell, TKELL Knives. Absolutely wonderful, a magnificent job. And I am just so proud to have something like the Accomplice at my side for the general EDC purposes, for the utility tasks, maybe a little self-defense. But right now, man, I'm just enjoying myself a delicious meal. And so, all right, guys, there you have it, a look at the TKELL Accomplice. Now, again, as I mentioned, the first production run is ready to go. So at the time of this video, if you are interested in these knives, take a look at the description box below where you can get all of the details. Again, the first production run is going to be very limited. It's going to be a numbered series, and there will be a very small number of these. So if you're a TKELL fan or an Outer Limitless fan and you want to get your hands on the first production run, these will go quickly. So keep an eye out and check the description box below. And again, I would like to say thank you so much to Tim Kell for making all of this possible. Flash Force, you're the man. Thank you very much. You know, it does take a little bit of luck, some things to align for all of this to happen, some real hard work behind the scenes going into this, both in terms of the knife, the sheath, and all of the details. So for everybody involved, again, thank you very much. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly, so if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So, all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.